Hey guys, Magenta is back here today again with another Buddyfight deck profile. So as mentioned in the last video, I will be doing a Dungeon World Adventurer Knights deck. Alright, so this deck, basically Noboru Kodo uses it in the anime. And of course, previous Dragon World cards have joined Dungeon World because of Noboru. Alright, so let's go into the deck profile. So our buddy monster is Knight of Glory El Quixote. So size 1 monster, 3k power, 1 critical, 1k defense. So when this card links attack with another adventurer, put the top card of your deck into your gauge, and for this, then if you have an adventurer item equipped, for this turn this card gets 1 crit and penetrate. So basically the first part of the effect, it's the original El Quixote, the gauge increasing effect. The original Dragon Knight El Quixote, and of course the second part is just for the penetrate, because those cards that give penetrate when they are link attacking are really good in Dungeon World because they link attack a lot. Alright, so that's just our buddy monster. Alright, so for size 2s, we run 2 copies of Baptism Knight Camille. Alright, size 2 monster, 5k power, 3k defense, and 2 criticals. Core cost 1 gauge. When this card enters the field, if you have an item equipped, search your deck for 1 knight item and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So when this card attacks, if you have 2 items equipped, put the top card of your deck into your gauge. So it works like you can use it to increase your gauge as with El Quixote. So gauge would not be an issue in this deck. And of course it searches out for the items. So if you run this guy, you can run lesser items, so you have more slots in your deck. Alright, next, 2 copies of Revolution Knight Rebellious. This guy is a 100 demon. Okay, so he's a Adventurer Knight Demon, not 100 demons. Alright, 5k power, 4k defense, and 2 criticals. Core cost of 1 gauge. When this card enters the field, if you have an item equipped, destroy a size 1 or less monster on your opponent's field. Then if you have 2 items equipped, destroy a size 2 or less monster on your opponent's field. Basically, if you have 1 item, it acts as a Rising Flare Dragon or something. So when it enters the field, you get to burn one of his monster. However, if you have 2 items equipped, when he enters the field, you burn 2 monsters. So really conditional cards. Really conditional card. I mean, it works well in this deck because of the fact that it's the only deck that allows you to equip up to 2 items. And of course monster destruction is really good, so you do not have to kill the monsters manually. Alright, next, 2 copies of Purge Knight Vlad Dracula. Vlad Dracula is also a monster from Dragon World which joined Dungeon World. Alright, so okay, so you may only call this card if you have an adventurer item equipped. Pay 2 gauge. This card gets 1 crit for each different adventurer monster in your drop zone, so it's the same as the original Vlad Dracula. Similar, not same, but similar. Of course the stats are awesome. 8k power, 7k defense. 7k defense is good in a way that it doesn't die to Pillar of Fire. And of course this card doesn't have an upper critical cap, so if you have like 10 different monsters, 10 different adventurer monsters, you can go up to 10 criticals. So 2 copies, it's usually the end game card. You use it with high critical and your opponent has already run out of nullify options. Yeah. And we play 4 copies of Dragon Wing Knight Dragon Guard. It's a 5k power, 2 critical, 6k defense. Pay 1 gauge, move. So it's your Halberd Dragon for Dungeon World, however with 1k less defense, offense power, the attack power, because well, Dungeon World just have trashier stats compared to Dragon World. Alright, moving on to the size 1 monsters. 2 copies of Missile Magician Edric. So we do not run 4 because it's not a knight, so it restricts the amount of things we can do with it. But it's still a pretty good card. Bolt Arrow, when this card links attack with another adventurer, deal 1 damage to your opponent. So of course this card does stack, so if you have 3 copies of them in triple link attack, you basically deal 3 burn damage to your opponent's face. And of course, cards like Full Stretch Formation works really well with Edric, but I do not like Full Stretch Formation simply because of the fact that Full Stretch can be nullified by a single card. For example, Green Dragon Shield, Blue Dragon Shield, or maybe something like, I don't know, Chillax. Yeah, things like that. So this deck actually uses Dead End Crush instead. Alright, next, 2 copies of Wandering Knight Roy. So it's just the vanilla 1000 Rapier Dragon clone. Alright, and we run 4 copies of this really good card, Apprentice Knight Rue. If you have a Knight item equipped, this card gets 3k power. It's a 7k beat stick with 1k defense. Pretty strong. It's much better than 1000 Rapier Dragon. And of course, we run 4 copies of the Body Monster Knight of Glory, El Quixote. So for the Penetrate, the 2 crit Penetrate and Gauge Increase. So that's it for the monsters. So moving on to the items, we only run 4 copies of the item. Okay, 2 copies of Blitz Tiger. Pay 1 gauge if you have if you have this card equipped, you may equip up to one the other lands, Eisen Tiger. So if Savage Lands Eisen Tiger is on your field, this card gets 4k power and it has Penetrate. 2 copies of this and 2 copies of Savage Lands Eisen Tiger. Pay 1 life. If you have a Flash Lands Blitz Tiger on your field, this card gets 1 crit. So one with high power Penetrate, the other one with high critical. So what you want to do is you clear. So if you have 2 items equipped, you want to clear the center with the Penetrate and high power, 8k power if they are both present, and the other one swings for 3 criticals. So it's pretty good. So one may argue that you would run 4 copies of each weapon to maximize the amount of chance that you can draw into them. But of course, first of all, it will clog up your deck. You have really little space for your other things like your spells and monsters. And of course, because you do not want to clog up your hand, because any item apart from the ones you already equipped in your hand and whatever places they are in are pretty much useless. So you can only charge 1 card per turn. So if you have like 4 items in your hand, you're pretty much already dead because you do not have other options. So just 2 copies of each. We have ways to search them out, of course. First being Baptism Knight Camille. Alright, so spells, 1 copy of Dangerous Fields. Yeah, you can read it yourself. So you can read it yourself. I'm not gonna read it, but I'm actually gonna explain it. So basically, look at 2 cards. 2 cards from your deck, flip them up. So you show it to your opponent. No, you do not flip them both. So, alright, we'll just go through it. Okay, review 1 card. So you look at them first. So in this case, they are the same, but whatever. So you review 1 card to your opponent, show him this is the card. Alright, and then you shuffle it. You can shuffle it under the table, behind your back or whatever, or you can just shuffle it in front of his face. Alright, so in the end he chooses the card. So he chooses, let's say he chooses the right one. Alright, so if it's the card chosen, you put both of them into your hand. So you get free 2 cards. Or if it's not, you get free 2 gauge. So it works as a Dragonic Charge, or it works as a nice one. So of course, if you have 2 cards of the same name, so either way he's gonna get the correct card. So both of them are gonna go into your hand. So 1 copy of Dangerous Fields. I mean, we do not want too many of this. It's pretty. The gauge is not really important. Yeah, but the hand card would be good though. But we have other options. Alright, so 1 copy of Hidden Crossbow. Destroy a monster on your opponent's field with 3k or less defense. Basically, you can get rid of pesky monsters like Damil Sword Dragon. Just use Hidden Crossbow and immediately get rid of him, so you do not have to deal with Purgatory Knight bullshit. Alright, 3 copies of Pillar of Fire. So it does the same thing as Hidden Crossbow. However, Hidden Crossbow only destroys 3k or less defense. Pillar of Fire destroys 6k or less defense. And you may only cast this card if you have no monster in the center and you have to pay 1 gauge. So both really good. So we run one of the weaker one, of course, for the Yeah, we want the stronger cards. We want more of the stronger cards. Alright, 3 cards. 3 copies, mission card from a party. If another card with mission in its card name is placed on your field, you gain 1 life. Search a deck for an adventurer and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. And destroy this card. Basically, it allows you to search for your items because your items are adventurer. So it's a really good card. So of course, it only works when it's already set on the field and you set another mission card, like the same card. So how do we make this consistent? We run a lot of mission cards. So 2 copies, mission card earn experience points. Basically, it gives your item double attack if your item's already attacked 4 times. Yeah, so double attack for your 3 crit weapon is really good. Okay, next. 3 copies, mission card, rest at Nazaro Hot Spring. So also another mission card. Basically what he does is consistency. When your adventurer is destroyed by an attack, put 2 adventurer from your drop zone into your hand and then destroy this card. So basically kind of pressurizes your opponent to not kill your monster, so it works to protect your monster as well. And of course, mission card enables the mission card form a party to allow you to search for things you need. 3 copies, mission card defeat monsters, pay 1 gauge. Okay, so basically he allows you to draw. So yeah, you destroy monsters, and whenever a monster is destroyed, so it's a set spell. So when a monster is destroyed, put the top card of your deck into its soul. And when its soul becomes 2 or more, you put both cards into your hand and you destroy this card. Yeah, so basically it allows you to draw a lot of cards. So that's actually draw power, therefore we do not need our dangerous fields as much. So of course, for standard, Divine Protection of Shelsana, pay 1 gauge, nullify the attack, and you gain 1 life. Of course, that's it for the spells. A lot of mission cards because set spells are good. And lastly, 2 copies of Dead End Crush, pay 2 gauge. You may only cast this card if your opponent has 3 life or less. If you have an adventurer monster on the field and you have a weapon equipped, deal 3 damage to your opponent. This card cannot be nullified and the damage cannot be reduced. So basically it's like a Gargantua Punisher. And of course it's way better than full slash formation because basically there's no counterplay unless he uses something that enables him to that allows him to revive back to 1 health or something, like Glory Seeker in the picture. So it's a better card than full slash formation, as I would say so myself. So yeah, that's it for the deck. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below to show me some support. So if you're new to my channel, subscribe if you'd like to see more future card Buddyfight deck profiles and product openings and reviews and stuff like that. So until then, I'll see you in the next video, which will probably be Dark Heroes deck profile. Alright, goodbye!